7,000 years ago, someone laid down on the ground, another person picked up a sharp piece of flint, and then they cut a hole in their skull. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, no hospital, no doctor with a medical degree hanging on a cave wall. And here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. The patient survived. Archaeologists have found over 1,500 skulls from across the ancient world, all with the same thing in common: a hole, deliberately cut in the top of the skull. This procedure has a name, trepanation, and it is the oldest known surgical operation in all of human history. The first time researchers found these skulls, they assumed the holes were made after death, some kind of ritual, some kind of trophy taking, some dark ceremony that we couldn't fully understand. Then they looked closer. Around the edges of the holes, the bone had regrown, smoothed over, healed. New bone tissue had formed around the opening in the exact way it would only do if the person was still alive after the procedure. These people didn't just survive the surgery. Some of them lived for years afterward. In certain Neolithic sites in France and the Czech Republic, between 5 and 10 out of every 100 recovered skulls show trepanation holes. That's not a rare emergency procedure. That's routine medicine. Some skulls have 2 holes, some have 3. One skull found in France had 5 separate trepanation sites at different stages of healing. This person went through ancient brain surgery 5 times and kept surviving. Here's where it gets dark, because the tools they use were not what you'd want near your skull. Flint blades, obsidian. In Peru, a ceremonial knife called a tumi, of curved bronze blade with a semicircular head. In parts of the South Pacific, sharpened seashells. No power tools, no precision instruments, just a steady hand, a sharp edge, and a patient lying as still as possible. There were 4 main techniques: scraping, gradually wearing away the bone in circular motions until the skull thinned enough to remove; cutting, scoring deep grooves into the skull in a square pattern, then popping the piece out; drilling, boring a series of small holes in a circle and connecting them; and grooving, a circular channel carved slowly deeper until the disc of bone came free. Each method took hours. We don't know what they used for pain. There's evidence that in Peru, surgeons used coca leaves, the plant cocaine is derived from, and chicha, a fermented drink, to dull sensation. Whether that actually helped or just made everyone involved feel slightly better about the situation is unclear. What we do know is that people kept agreeing to it. Why? Head injuries from warfare, skull fractures where broken bone pressed into the brain, seizures, chronic headaches, behaviors that ancient people interpreted as evil spirits trapped inside the skull pushing to get out. The logic, by their own understanding, was completely sound. Something is wrong inside the head. Open the head, let it out. Now here is the part that rewrites everything you thought you knew about ancient medicine: the survival rates. Ancient Peruvian surgeons working with stone and bronze tools, no sterile environment, no antibiotics, no understanding of germ theory, achieved survival rates of 75 to 83%. The American Civil War happened roughly 400 years later. Surgeons in those field hospitals had metal instruments, some basic anatomical training, and the formal medical system that had been developing for centuries. Their survival rate for the same procedure? 44 to 56%. Ancient Peruvian surgeons with flint knives were saving more than 3/4 of their patients. Trained Civil War doctors with metal instruments were losing nearly half of theirs. How? The leading theory is practice. Pure, accumulated, generational practice. Incan surgeons appear to understand, through observation alone, over hundreds of years, that smaller incisions meant higher survival. Early Peruvian trepanations cut huge openings in the skull. Survival rates were around 40%. Over centuries, the holes got smaller, more precise, faster, and the survival rate climbed to over 90% in some periods. No textbooks, no medical schools, just watching what killed people and adjusting. That's what gets lost in the shock of it. We look at these skulls and we see primitive people doing something terrifying with rocks. What we should be seeing is a medical tradition, a system, knowledge built over generations, passed down, refined, improved. The surgeon who drilled the fifth hole in that French skull didn't improvise. They knew what they were doing. They had done it before, probably learned from someone who had done it before them. That is how medicine works. It just turns out medicine is a lot older than we thought. We have a word for someone who performs surgery on a living human brain with no formal training, no modern tools, and no guarantee of survival. We call them primitive. But the bone grew back, the patient stood up, they walked out. And somewhere in a cave or a village or on a battlefield, someone lived who would have died without a stranger picking up a piece of flint and deciding to try. That's not primitive. That's the beginning of medicine.